Okay. Hello, welcome back to the recap show for this week. I'm Sabrina. We've got Mike here, and we also have Erin, who was the winner, is the winner of our ALS fundraiser charity game. So, congrats, Erin, again, and thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. Very excited.
Oh man, we got a fun little episode to review today. Lots of things were going on, but I guess let's start with the challenge, of course, which was superlatives, but pre-merge, which is interesting. So, how do you guys think doing this pre-merge affected players' decisions, like that they like made this episode, maybe made during the challenge, all of that?
I feel like when superlatives happen, people read a lot into them. So, and typically when I play superlative challenges, I try and game it where I put my guess towards what I think the majority is going to be already. So it's more likely to be the majority when I start guessing.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you're going to have that factor plus the factor that you want to kind of blend in more at the beginning just to be like coexist well with other people and get along so you can get past the first few rounds based on just being like in the majority.
Yeah, I feel like with this version of superlatives, it was really interesting because you're kind of just getting a glimpse into what the other tribe thinks about you and thinks about your tribe. So I feel like it might not do anything now, potentially, at least on the villain side. I don't think it really played any effect on the dynamics or who got voted off or anything like that. But I think potentially it could be interesting on the heroes side if they read into that, if they have to go to tribal council because they haven't gone yet. So this might be something that they actually have to go off of. But otherwise, I feel like it's just kind of more of a, now we kind of get a glimpse into what the other tribe thinks about us going into merge. Like it might be a warning sign for people whose name came up a lot, like Hannah or Eli or, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think what's cool and as to why all of this pre-merge superlative stuff worked is because they all, I feel like, know each other like relatively well. So that was interesting to see how that all kind of carried over to see if their past seasons like impacted that or if they were just looking at what's going on right now. So thought that was pretty fascinating. But I guess are there any superlatives and like answers that stuck out to you guys?
I mean, Hannah and Gabby got like a good chunk of the negative ones for the villains, which I think Hannah, just her reputation from season 2 just carried over for because that's all the heroes have to base off when they guess. So it's like it kind of makes sense. And then Gabby, they just didn't see a lot of, so they're probably assuming, oh, she didn't go far, she's getting carried. It seemed like that's what they were doing a lot too, because Cam got she was being carried as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like people who just got out early got that one.
Yeah. And I think it also wasn't a bad read for Gabby to be getting some of those because like it was, she's clearly on the bottom. Like the votes were split on her at tribal. So I think that like obviously there's in a season that's all returnees, you're going to get a lot more cross tribe communication. So they probably have some sense of what's going on the villain side. But yeah, I think it definitely, the ones that stuck out to me most were like, yeah, the Jack and Eli being seen as the leaders on their respective tribes. And like, I think it's funny that I don't think anybody's necessarily going to do anything about it or like take that to mean anything. Like we still saw 0 target on Jack on the villain side for the vote. And they were talking about potential targets. Like Carl was saying the potential targets on the hero side would have been like Holly or Austin. So Eli's still like, he got most of the positive superlatives on the hero side and he's still just kind of sliding under the radar. So I think that that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's why Eli's really, oh, my bad.
Oh, sorry. You can go
I was
first.
just saying, I think that's why Eli's a really threatening player all the time, is because even on season 2, like he was below Jack, but he's still like, you could tell he was working and like always thinking. And he's able to not take a lot of heat from it because he's just such a like nice person on the outside.
Yeah. And I think like on that side too, Holly got some of the negative ones, but I think people probably just read into that as like Madison's influence on the villains and like probably talking some shit about Holly or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because they're voting for each other. So then you have what they've heard from past seasons too, like what they've just the baggage that everyone's brought with them. And then that influences, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on. I guess again with Eli, because he was voted the biggest social threat. It's interesting to see like the contrast between the two people who were voted the biggest social threat, because you've got Eli who's like at the top of the heroes tribe, and then you have Paul who's like at the bottom. So it's kind of funny to see how each team like deals with that, I guess, and how it like sticks like true to their hero or villain nature. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, of course we see heroes win their third immunity in a row. We love to see it, hate to see it. I don't know. How do we feel about that?
We hate it.
We hate it.
We hate it. I agree.
Fair enough.
Like,
Fair enough.
I want to see them go. I like the villain characters. They're very entertaining. I want them to stay.
They are.
And not that the heroes aren't, but they haven't had to do anything yet. And I want them to be able to get the experience. I want to see Austin have to survive a tribal. I want to see what's going to happen with all this talk about Holly. Like,
right.
Yeah.
The more that they win, the closer they're going to get, and like the more likely a pagonging would be at, you know, a merge or a swap. And so like that's not something you want to see at all. So yeah, I definitely, not that I don't like any of them, but I do really hope they lose soon.
Yeah. It's like you love to watch them, but like I want to watch them play. We're here to play Survivor. I mean, that's what it's all about. But I guess with them winning again, how does this affect their team dynamic? Because again, like we've just talked about, they haven't like done anything. I mean, sure, they could like solidify relationships, but like you don't get to put that to the test until you actually have to go vote someone out.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just, if I were them, like I'd be getting bored, honestly. And I feel like they kind of are. And they talked about it this episode. They're like, I think it was Carl who was like, nobody's going to throw out a name because as soon as that happens, then like the potential for the target to be on you. And you never want to throw out a name when you're not going to tribal because, you know, the plan will change like 10 times before you go to tribal, even if you lose the challenge. So you don't want to start a plan in motion with no, you know, nothing in sight, because that is going to put a target on your back. So I think all that it's doing, is bringing them closer together, making them more unified, because nobody wants to throw out anybody's name. There's no divisions being made. So it's really screwing the villains over for any chance of like gaining any footing in any sort of swap or merge.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when you have, if you going into a swap, if you haven't gone to a single tribal yet, the tribe is much more susceptible to being shaky and not sticking together in that swap. So I feel like if they end up going to one, it might help them almost in a swap situation. They go to one and then they all know, okay, we all voted with each other once, we can trust each other. And then, I forgot where I was going, but
I think I know where you were going. I get the vibes that you're putting down. But yeah, I mean, if you don't go vote someone out before a swap, like who knows what could happen? I mean, like you haven't put anything to the test, like might as well do what is best for you at that point, you know? But I guess like since they have all this time, like not having to worry about voting anyone out, they have some time to like really start to like lock down, solidify some relationships. And I think we started to see that this episode. So are there any relationships, I guess, that stick out to you guys?
You have the Eli, Mitch, and Carl now trio forming, which is kind of like all great minds think alike. Like I feel like they're very similar people, so they all gravitate towards each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what sticks out to me the most too, and that nobody's really like, it feels like nobody is drifting towards like the Holly and Cassidy side of things. I feel like they're kind of on an island on their own, honestly, while everybody else has things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like just watching the first episode, I know it was Mitch, Eli, and Jason that all did like the hard ones for the challenge, and I think that they like kind of started a little group of 3 going on too. But now I do think it's interesting that Carl has kind of like replaced Jason in that 3, and he's kind of also not like, I don't want to say in a bad spot, but like there was, I don't remember who it was, but somebody had a confessional in the episode where they were like, yeah, Jason just doesn't like really talk to people, or like they were like commenting on that. So I think, yeah, he should probably at least make an effort to do some more outreach for if and when the heroes do have to go to tribal.
Yeah, definitely. Because like I feel like it's so easy, especially while you're playing, like if you're like on an off week, like you have to like keep up your relationships, like keep talking and all that stuff. Like you sometimes forget how important that is in the game. But hey, it's Survivor. I don't know. But yeah, and I guess to bring it back to Carl, like this I feel like was such a great episode for him. I mean, we see Eli and Mitch feeling good with him. We see Kat feeling good with him. We see Austin feeling good with him. Like, everyone's feeling good with Carl. What's up with that?
I mean, just like how I was saying before, how Eli, Mitch, and Carl all have a similar personality and they gravitated towards each other for that. People gravitate towards Carl because he's just a naturally, like, nice and approachable person. And he seems like he's always honest with you. He just has like that kind of face, and he's so he just, I don't know, he doesn't seem untrustworthy at all.
I agree. He has a very trustable face. I feel like, yeah, I don't know that we've seen necessarily any like conversations he's had with people, but he definitely, like, I feel like he would tell you like it is, or like you think that he is, and that's probably why he's on the hero side, because he's trustworthy, or at least, and I feel like that's kind of more of a base assumption when you're on the heroes tribe, that like you can trust people because you're all heroes. So like, why not trust each other?
He has such a BDJ voice too, and it's like so. He says it so like with everything with such like just the voice, and it just sounds pleasant because it's like a radio voice. I don't know.
Yeah,
you can't vote someone off that you love talking to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shout out Carl, great ally to me. Yeah, glad you're what's it called? Doing your second shot right now. Anyway, yeah, so that's all very exciting. And we saw kind of towards the end of the heroes talking, mentioning potential targets. So the names that were thrown out were Holly, Cass, and Austin. A bunch of different scenarios were thrown around. I don't know. What do you guys make out of what they're starting to kind of like kick into gear like during this off week?
I mean, oh, you got it, Erin.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know that, like, I feel like the only thing Austin has done to like put a target on his back is just be a winner. It feels like it seemed like he's integrating himself well socially and is like, on the right side of things. And he's like having the conversations that he needs to have, but people still have that like, oh, but you're a winner in the back of their minds. And they don't want that to necessarily get farther. And I think Lydia being voted out first on the villain side definitely like escalated that. I think that really like did not help Austin's case. Whereas I feel like on the other side of things, like Holly and Cass I feel like finding the idol probably made them feel safe. And so they're like, we don't necessarily need to talk to people if we're not going to tribal because we have the idol, and we don't, necessarily need to strategize as much because we can just sit back and rely on this. So that might be why they're taking a step back, just aren't having as many conversations. But I feel like, yeah, looking at it, those do seem to be the targets that make sense. And nobody just wants to like officially say it because then the ball really gets going and then they have to, do something about it. So
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those are the three that have, or Holly and Austin have been the two that have been pushed every week. We've been told every week, and then Cass always gets thrown in with Holly because if people are targeting Holly, they're going to be targeting Cassidy as well. I think someone else who might be in trouble, like you were talking about before, Erin, is Jason, because people have been mentioning he doesn't seem to talk to people much, and maybe that could have just been that player's experience with Jason, and he doesn't talk to them a lot, but he might talk to other people. But from what we've seen, he doesn't really talk to many people, so that might come and bite him in the butt, I guess, too.
Yeah. Anything in the game is possible. But yeah, I mean, yeah, congrats, I suppose, to the heroes for winning third immunity. But on the flip side, villains have lost their third challenge in a row. Not cool. Not cool at all. I love these characters. I mean, they're so fun to watch. It sucks watching them go one by one. But how does like that just like impact like the team morale? I mean, like just not being able to get that win.
It's stressful. Like when you don't have a break from having to worry if you're gonna go home every single vote, like it gets tiring. And then when by the time you get to merge, like, hey, you're going to every single one from there on out. But it's nice when in this stage in the game when you can get a break sometimes to get it once in a while, and every time you don't get it, you're just like, ah.
Yeah, and the fact that this one was like it went to a tiebreaker and then they still lost, like that just I feel like that would feel so much worse because you feel like this glimmer of hope. It wasn't like an absolute blowout or anything, so they were like, "Oh, we could actually win. We might actually not have to go to tribal." And then it was like, "Just kidding. You still have to go."
Oh my god, sorry. I drove over to school today, so I'm very tired, but yeah, just they were so close. Like I was pulling for them so much, but it happens, I guess. But yeah, I mean, at least they were able to blow off some steam, like take a second, like hang out with each other, not talk game, any of that. So that's that, I
Yeah, they
guess.
had a
But
little COVID safe part. Whose place was that at?
I think it was Gabby's.
Uh
Yeah, we love COVID safe hangouts. Um, but yeah, but then of course that's only a night, and then you have to get right back into the game, where of course they kept talking about a split between Paul and Gabby. So something that they kept bringing up, of course, and that was definitely highlighted in the Superlatives Challenge, did not help Paul's case whatsoever. Paul just being such a huge social threat. So like I guess going into your third tribal in a row, like how do you navigate that? Like you just have this flashing target on you. Like that's tough.
having like the label of a social threat when people already know that you're friends with Holly and Cass, and people know the heroes have had 3 clues to that idol, so he still has a chance at an idol. I'm always thinking like, oh, that like he could have that too. So I think it almost like could help him. That's a very specific scenario where it helps him, but I feel like he's really in the spot just because of the trend that's been going on of scrambling. And I think that like Lydia was throwing out a bunch of people's names. People were like, okay, Lydia, gone. Kevin was scrambling a lot, and people were just like, Kevin gone. And now we see this episode, Paul scramble. He's like, I'm going after Jake. I'm going idol hunting with Hannah. That previously came up too. Like he was doing a lot, and that really seemed like the real blunder there.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think he might have been in like a better spot if he would have like shared that clue and gone idol hunting with somebody else. Like I feel like him sharing that with Hannah is what really threw a lot of people off, and they were like, "Why are you trusting Hannah over me?" Like I feel like if he would have picked somebody in a bigger power position on the tribe to share that with, then it would have like he would have been fine.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, I think you're right because
Yeah.
I think say it was Jack. Jack is someone's number one. No, Hannah isn't someone's number one yet. So
Right.
everyone's like, oh, so that's happening. So then that's someone who's untrustworthy, or who, what was it? Liar, like the biggest liar. She was
Right.
voted. So
Exactly.
it's just gonna suss people out.
Exactly. And yeah, and like Hannah had it right because yeah, like being a social threat obviously makes it like puts a target on your back, but like Hannah was saying, like and like you were saying, like if that gets you in good with the other tribe, if that gives you allies on the other tribe, especially if you're down in numbers, then you should keep that person around. That's going to be a bridge and that can like keep you safe going forward. And like Hannah did have that thought process. She was like, "Oh, he could be like a good bridge to get me allies on the other tribe." Um, but she just didn't have enough pull and enough sway, obviously, to keep him around.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. I mean, yeah, I feel like if I was in Hannah's position, I'd be thinking like the same thing because when you just can't catch a break, you just have to think that far ahead to make sure that like I guess you have somewhere to go and you're not just kind of like waving in the wind. I don't know. But again, I guess with Hannah and especially with this whole idol blow up thing, all of that, her reputation is starting to catch up with her. People are starting to get kind of sussed out. Um, so, how do you think that's going to impact her going forward?
It's really interesting because she got voted that she was playing the most different game by the heroes. So the heroes thought like she's kind of not like she wouldn't be doing that kind of thing. But so it's like I don't know if it's really going to affect her too much because if people think she's playing a different game still, then it might I think there's still a chance she can stick around.
Mhm.
But she also got voted who should have been voted out already and biggest liar.
True.
So, excuse me. I don't know if the heroes just like don't have a good read on her or we're like, I don't know, she's one of these things. But I feel like yeah, she's not putting herself maybe in the best position with the villains, especially like, thinking about saving Paul. But like if she kept those thoughts to herself and if she's kind of like and just trying to be under the radar with the people that are actually in the power position, then I feel like she could have a solid case going forward.
Yeah. I think she's been I think she's definitely been playing a different game. Um for sure. I think yeah, definitely I guess just some of that leftover like sus from season 2, is lingering, but for the most part it seems like she's got to look down. Like at least she's got like her voting block. I mean, of course we saw like Abby get sussed out, we see Jack getting sussed out, Jake, all of that. Um but still she was on the right side of the boat, so you're doing something right. Um but yeah, anyway, we go to tribal again. See villains going to tribal, unfortunately, where we see Paul go home. Um, and right before we see Paul trying to blindside Jake. Um, if he had pushed maybe a little differently, like, I don't know, do you guys think that would have been possible? Maybe if it was brought up like sooner, like, and not so last minute?
Uh,
I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I don't. I feel like Jake's too well integrated into the villain's tribe right now. I feel like
Mhm.
he has too many people who trust him and want to work with him, and uh, because the thing that happened with Paul in season 1, like Paul and Jake, I think they never really trusted each other, and then like they knew that they were gunning, and then this time around they said we're gonna work together. I think it shows that Paul was the right person to vote out. I think
Mhm.
mostly for the villains, and I think that's why Paul went home, and I think why it would have never worked for Jake to go.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. I don't know of anything that they could have done differently, honestly. Because I feel like you're looking at like there's like the two, I feel like power pairs on the villains, which are like Jack and Abby, and then Madison and Owen. Like they're both kind of pairs on the tribe. And so you kind of have to like balance, I get, or like try to pitch to the right people. But I don't think Paul really had a case to pitch to either of those pairs because they are in such good positions anyway. So yeah, unfortunately, I think that he was just in a position of like the past couple weeks being too close to Kevin or too close to Lydia. And so he was kind of viewed as, close with people who have been voted out. And that's never a position that you want to be in when you're going to tribal again.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys think if Paul picked maybe a different name, it would have worked out? Like if he had picked like Hannah, or like if he had picked, I'm trying to think of who else. I guess yeah. I mean, I guess Hannah, because she was like in hot-ish water, I guess.
I think Hannah would have been his best bet. And if he would have like made up some lie about something she said while they were idol hunting, like that could, be like, oh, she's threatening to flip to the heroes. She's actually been, talking with Holly and is super close with her over on the hero side, like something like that, but more believable probably. I feel like he could have made it happen, but I think he just, didn't choose the best target.
Yeah, I guess so. And I guess, I guess continuing a little bit with what Mike was talking about before, I was going to ask, how is this vote going to impact the villains? Mike kind of spoke about that before, like, at least, like, talking about Paul being, like, the right vote. So if Paul is the right vote, like, how is this going to impact the villains moving forward?
I mean, they got to hope that they don't lose again, but at least this kind of puts them in a position where they can lose at least one more time because they have, like, Gabby is an easy vote now, which, like, that sucks for Gabby, but for the rest of the villains, it's like they can still continue to be solid going into at least one more vote and then potentially, like, emerge. And that's always a good foot to go off on. Like, you always want to go into a swap or emerge from a unanimous vote. You want to feel solid with the people that you've been with. So I feel like this does actually set them up, like the majority of the tribe, up in a fairly good position.
I think it might appear like that, but I think it could. I think whoever went this episode, Paul or Gabby, it being Paul, whoever made it to the next one, they would have been in a better spot than they were this episode, because I think when you get to that one person left, the dynamic always shifts to like, okay, which one of us is on the bottom and which one of us is going to be next. Because I believe in the original Heroes Villains season, there was no swap, I believe.
Yeah.
So they could be thinking also, is there going to be a swap? Like,
that's true.
It didn't happen on that. So they don't want that. They're like to be the bottom person after Gabby goes. So I think Gabby, and also if you're in a power position, it's like a great person, like to pick up the person off the bottom and have them like just kind of like help them, and then they trust you because you're the only one really trying to work with them.
Yeah, definitely agree. I guess shout out to Mike for that, because he did exactly that to me in Mind, Body, Soul.
Didn't make it.
What?
Didn't really help me because I left 2 episodes later, but
the
idea was there.
You helped me, but hey, you know what? The thought is there, and I think like when you're in a position where you can have a little bit more mobility and flexibility and like realize that all of this is happening, that could be something good to do. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But until then, we have a special guest here to join us. Hello, Paul.
Hi, team.
Hi, Paul.
Thanks for being here. Erin, thank you so much for playing in the charity game Saturday.
Of course. Oh my God, it was so fun.
You're great.
Yay.
Okay. You're great.
I'm not. You saw.
I still think you're great, Paul.
Thanks.
But
You know.
hey, I don't know. Anyway, thanks for coming. I don't know. Give us the tea. What's tea? What happened?
What's tea? Well, what happened was you saw how boring they were. You know, when no one would throw me a bone, and like maybe I should have thrown different names out. Like maybe I could have not thrown Owen's name out week 2 just to see how people would take it. But yeah, I don't like there's a lot of tea. I don't know what I don't know how to go about it. It was a hard spot to be in, and I also think trying to campaign for Kevin was also a flop move on my end. But like, I came to play Survivor. I was under the impression it's all stars. Like, let's all like push it to the limit. And I feel like everyone was trying to like keep it cool, keep it safe, keep it clean, and we did that vote 1. So like maybe that set the precedent. But like I was dying out there. I just wanted some shakeup, and maybe I was the shakeup. You know, first non-unanimous vote of the season, but
Yeah.
at what cost?
At what cost?
Did you ever consider trying to campaign against Gabby? Because you two seem to be on the bottom there. So did you ever think of maybe just like trying to throw her under the bus? Or were you, because she's your best friend too. So like, do you want to do that?
In all honesty, like coming into the game, like I was voted most ties in the game, and like I was on season 1. So like I had Jake wanted to work with me, and like he knew I was only gonna work with him as far as I could throw him because he voted me out. And then Cam and Kat, like I was both on good terms with both of them. They wanted to work with me. Season 2, I was friendly because I worked on production. Season 3, I got Cassidy, Holly, and Kevin cast, so they all like owed their lives in the game to me. And then beyond that, I didn't want to be boring. I didn't want to rely on pre-existing connections, so I went idol hunting with Hannah for better or for worse, and I tried working with Jack and Abby, and I told Madison about the idol hunting, but like way too little too late. Like that is like Survivor 101. Don't leak anything after the fact. But I don't think I could have campaigned for Gabby. And going into that weekend, like after the challenge, like I talked with Madison. I was like, hey, you threw my name out. I'm not gonna hold it against you. Like we can maybe make something work. And I was like panicking to Jake and Hannah, and both of them were like trying to keep me originally, and they told me to sit back and relax. And and relaxed being that it was going to be Gabby, and I couldn't let it be Gabby. Like you guys have seen her. She's great TV, and she's my best friend, and she was voted out second last time, and I couldn't let her be voted out third this time. Even she got her redemption, so like I could have, but morally I couldn't. And you know, I shouldn't have. I should have. It would have been the move for me to just shut up and vote her out. And do I wish I did? Maybe, yes. But I got to join the lovely editing team with Sabrina. And what more could you want?
What more could you want? It's great working with you, Paul. It really is.
Yeah.
But I guess I do have one question though, because I mean, I love that you went in there and like wanted to shake things up, because Survivor's a game where it's really fun to shake things up. So, but if you were, because you were working in a position where you were working, like, you know, you worked with Kevin before Kevin was voted out, like you were working with a lot of people like on the bottom. If you were in an alliance at the top, would you still try to shake things up, or would you kind of just like go with the flow?
If I could shake things up 100%, especially like that majority alliance of 6. I'm more of a Big Brother fan, so like I should have expected like a boring majority alliance to just like be running things. But I always thought like I'd be on the end of that. I at least thought like, maybe it's my perspective coming in. I was like, we're all gonna play individual games, like it'll be like second chances. We're gonna vote in voting blocks, nothing rigid, but that 6 was rigid, and maybe I could have taken it down with a different name, but it was too rigid, and I was too messy, and you know, just I don't know. What was the question again? Mercury retrograde, you know, it's hard to talk.
It is hard to talk sometimes. I don't know. A fellow Mercury and Pisces, of course.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. But yeah, I mean, was there any point I guess because it was a pretty short turnaround, wasn't it?
It was the challenge was Thursday night, and then vote off was Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
So
So, like,
I could have even been patient. I could have like waited to get messy until Sunday morning, but like I'm not a morning person, so I had to do it all Saturday.
Fair.
Did you have everyone's big three at the time like you were playing?
No, and I think
Do you
having
think it
that
would help
info
you?
would have greatly impacted how I was playing. Because I found out Jack was an Aries, and it's like obviously that guy's a fucking Aries, like no duh. But if I also knew he was a Leo moon, which is like a lot more self-focused, and that he had a Cancer rising, which makes him look all sweet and like nurturing on the outside, I would have come for him harder, I think. I knew Jake was a triple Taurus, so obviously like you don't flip on someone who's like super loyal like that, and that's why Jake is so loyal. That's why everyone has such a good relationship and allyship with Jake. No other reason, just because he's a triple Taurus. But yeah, I would have came harder for Jack for sure.
Yeah. There was a vlog that did not make the cut week 1 where you did list off everyone's sun sign because you did have that. Would you say that that helped you in any way, like before you ultimately got voted out?
It helped in that it gave me like a better perspective of people that maybe I didn't get from their edit on their season or from like knowing them otherwise. But yeah, I think if I had everyone's birth chart from the start, that would have been good. But it's really hard to ask someone the time and place they were born.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Why do I want you to give me like an astrology reading now?
I literally will like DM me your info and I will.
Will.
I'm trying to work
DM
myself
you my big
up.
three.
Awesome. Okay.
Lovely. Lovely. Erin, do you know your big 3?
I do. I'm an Aries sun,
Oh my god.
Taurus moon, and Gemini rising.
Okay.
Wait, you have the same
Taurus
sun
moon.
and moon. Oh my god. I'm a Leo rising though, so that's where it switches up, but that's so silly.
What did you say your rising was? Sorry, I got really excited.
Gemini rising.
Gemini, wow. That not to say like that's like made for Survivor, but it definitely like I could see that playing in well. Because Aries, the independent, you know, you're playing life like a game, and you're just like running through it. But your Taurus moon is keeping you grounded and stable, at least in your emotions. And then, but as a Gemini rising, like you're a chatty Cathy, everyone wants to like chat or work with you. I don't know. Just that's what off the top of my head.
That all feels accurate, yeah.
It's always accurate.
Oh, we love to see it. We absolutely love to see it. Does anyone else have any more questions for Paul while we are here?
I feel like I definitely do. I loved your exit, by the way. Iconic. Always great to yell at everybody as you're on your way out. Definitely respect that.
Want to be polite after that.
No, why would you? Did you know it was coming?
I was iffy. Like the day of, people were getting real sus, and I had a good idea. And then astrologically, as I leave my dorm, I'm walking up the hill to the park. I look up in the sky. The moon is fucking huge and close, and it's daytime. It's like 3:00 p.m. And I was like, this is a sign. Either I'm about to pull off this crazy move, or I'm gonna vote it out. And then, like a minute or two after that, I'm like walking up the hill, and I get a text from Gabby, and she's like, "Owen told me it's you." So he told her it was me, so at least she had like the warning. But he was also like, "Don't tell Gabby." He was like, "Don't tell Paul," because like obviously they thought I had an idol. And she texted me. She's like, "Obviously, I'm going to tell you." And I was like, "Thank you." So I had my speech that's from Tiffany New York Pollard written out. I was trying to memorize it. Clearly, had some trouble, but I got all the words out in the end there. But
you did. It was iconic.
Did you ever did you know Holly had an idol?
That bitch, Holly, I love you, but no, I did not. And after all I've done, and I've grilled her many a time since then, but if she played it week 2 for Kevin, like the vote would have been for Madison, which is Holly's biggest rival. Could have been a power move to take her out. And then I'm there alone. Could have given it to me, which would have sucked for Gabby, but like would have been really iconic to have gotten across Team Idol there. But every time she explained it, like it made zero sense for her game to give it to me, and I wouldn't have given it to her. But like, you're gonna give me the fucking idol clue and make me look like an idiot. Like, if she had at least told me she had it, that would have been fine. But what do you know?
I don't know. That actually might have been a good move for her because she's not exactly like on the top of the heroes tribe. So I feel like, making sure you have some like allies on the other tribe that at least make it with you to merge, I feel like isn't a bad call.
Could have been a huge power move. Like,
yeah.
Huge, like if I like got people, if I had anyone like more than Gabby on my side, maybe it would have been the move. But that's true though.
Yeah, would have been very cool. Maybe in another timeline during a different heroes villains timeline, but
for sure.
Never mind. I don't know. Any other questions? Anyone? You could ask. Yeah. Anyone? Anyone in the comments?
Is there anyone?
Is there anybody
anyone
from
in the comments?
Paul, is there anyone from like the heroes tribe that you wish you would have been able to work with?
So the tea is like I would have like considered working with Holly and Cassidy, but at the end of the day, like I don't owe them like they got on because of me, so like I don't owe them. I'll vote them out if given the chance. I like made Final 2 deals like with everyone I could, like while season 3 was filming, like after Cassidy was voted out, I was like, Cass, like if they bring you back for All Stars, like no one would suspect us, like
No.
me and Holly before you, maybe they think me and Kevin, but like Cass. So it would have been cool to work with Cass specifically, and I mean Jason would be cool to work with just because like his beef with Holly, and like I was trying to leverage like, hey Madison, like I know you and Holly aren't on good terms, but like I'd be down to like if it comes to it, like vote her out with you. And Eli, I always thought was cool. Would have always worked with Eli. Mitch, how could you not want to work with Mitch and just hang out with Mitch and eat with Mitch? Like he's great. And then my season 1 sisters, Kat and Cam, I really, more than anything, I wanted to work with them and blindside Jake because he did the best out of the 4 of us. But I tried to blindside Jake regardless.
Yeah. The effort was there. The effort was there.
Thanks.
We have a question from Hannah Dolan.
Who would I want to play with Big Brother with from this season? Who would I not want to play with? Okay, juicy question from Hannah. Hannah, I would love to play Big Brother with you solely because, well, not solely, but like you're an acting major. Like acting, like we don't know each other, would be probably the easiest with you, and then we can like kiki like behind closed doors, etc. I'd obviously love to play with Gabby. My big thing is like I love working with people that like I love like chatting with or like being with. So, and I mean no shade like if I've come for you, obviously, but being in a house with someone like Big Brother for that many days, like Jack, you're great, but like I don't know if I could like live with you for that long. I don't, not to call out just Jack. Who would I not want? Hannah, that is such a shady question. I wouldn't want to play with Lydia, and I didn't want to play Survivor with Lydia just because like I know how smart she is and calculated and everything, and like I can't have that. Like I can't. You can't be out calculating me. I'd love to be with Kevin in the Big Brother house. I mean, I would love to see any of my Survivor sisters randomly in the Big Brother house with me because like that's a nice built-in alliance. But yeah, no one I wouldn't want to.
This makes me think of another question. Which Big Brother player would you want on Survivor with you?
Well, it's got to be from season 23, Tiffany Mitchell, the goddess, the queen.
Great answer.
And she ran that, and like she would be like, it would be like it's like having a mom on with you. Mm-hmm. Well, it is having a mom on with you, but like she's like your mom, like if you're like tight with her. So I would love Tiffany. I love Chada from this past season. And then like old school Big Brother, Danielle Donato, huge stan. At least growing up, she kind of flopped on All Stars, but yet another person who tried flipping on an alliance of 6 and had it blow up in her face. So crazy. Legends only, I guess. I'm not a legend. I can't call myself a legend. Would never want to work with Rat Cole. Who else from Big Brother? Like Dr. Will. I like it's so many people. I can't even name names. I'm like so overwhelmed by that question. It's such a good question. But from the rumored celebrity season coming up, if this is true, because it's rumored every season, but if Tiffany Pollard is on, I need to work with her, and I'll throw my game out for her too. I don't care.
I saw something on Twitter that said it was like a account that was confirming players one by one, and it's
that's all.
Yeah.
That's not real.
I've heard a lot of Vanilla Ice, a lot of Tiffany Pollard.
Well, we all know that Paul's going to be on CBB3, so
I am. I'm filling in, the college survivor slot in the cast. That's me. Sorry, guys. Like, you'd be great next time, but it's me. Well, I'm going to quarantine this weekend, so yeah. But I'd love Tiffany, and I believe I saw a TikTok gay saying she's on, so I believe that more than the faceless Twitter profiles. They had some names. There were some names. Spencer from iCarly.
Yes, I've seen that.
I believe that.
I've seen Miranda Cosgrove too.
Wow.
Okay, that sounds like a plant rumor they're trying to spread to throw us off from Spencer.
Oh,
that would be interesting.
Maybe.
I'm just hoping to see Elmo.
That would be big. That would be huge.
That would be big.
That would be great. Have like the person who puppets Elmo just own the show.
Oh, iconic.
And Nene Leakes from Real Housewives of Atlanta, she's the meme queen. So if that's true, that'd be huge. But I've learned with Big Brother to never get your hopes up. So
yes.
When does it come out? The celebrity season?
February 4th. So CBS, please sponsor us for plugging your content.
We have one more question from Hannah now.
Without spoiling anything, who's astrologically projected for the win?
Ooh, love that.
What is T? Okay. I'm gonna pull the Insta real quick based on big threes alone. I'm gonna try and piece it together. But some T I've noticed, because I have seen Austin and Lydia's birth charts by now. Austin has some really good aspects for winning. He's a grand trine, which is like a big triangle on his chart between a bunch of planets and air signs, which is why he's so smart. And then Lydia, oh my god, that girl, she's a Libra rising, so she's a socialite, here to make friends. But she also has Venus and Mercury, like, on the exact degree, like out of 360 degrees on your birth chart, on the exact degree of her ascendant. Like, that's rigged. Like, that season 3 was rigged for Lydia. But we're gonna talk about season 4 right now. Jake's is really good too. Like a triple Taurus, like you'll never meet a more grounded but also competitive and loyal person, which are the makings of a great Syrvivor. Astrology projected. I'd say Gabby's, but she's too watery, too emotional, too much crying. I don't know if we'll see it this season, but I've seen that girl cry. Gabby, I love you. I would either say the New Hampshire girls. Oh my god, that's crazy. So Abby, she's a Capricorn sun, Scorpio moon, Libra rising. So she is the drive of a Capricorn, the emotional depth of a Scorpio, and the bestie skills of a Libra. And then Cassidy, Gemini, so she's a chatty Cathy. Scorpio moon, same moon as Abby, so they both have a really deep read on the room. And she's a Sag rising, and she was called Coattail Cassidy, at least in the superlatives, but I think her Sag risings are lucky. I think it can propel her to push herself out like the fire sign she is. But we'll have to see. Thank you for the question, Hannah.
That was a fun question.
Yeah, really.
We'll have you do my chart later.
All right.
And read me.
Anytime. We gotta start charging people. So practice.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for joining us. It was great having you here as always. And I will see you later to Get on that editing grind.
Grind. Editing team.
Editing
Best
team.
team.
Best team. Fun team. Go team.
Go team.
Go
Bye,
team.
guys. Nice seeing you.
Bye, Paul.
Bye. So fun. So fun. All right. Before we get out of here, I guess let's just do a couple episode superlatives. So, who in this episode do you think was the MVP?
Ooh. I'm gonna go with Carl. Like, even though the heroes did not go to tribal council, like, we definitely saw a lot of bonding with Carl. We saw him like positioning himself as like the center point, like the kingpin on the heroes tribe. So I'm gonna go with Carl as MVP for the episode.
Nice.
I'll give someone different. I'll go with Jack on the villains, just because he was pegged as the leader, and he does have that kind of leader spot in his alliance where he has the most known ties, I would say. And like he has that assumed role from his previous season where he was a leader already. So people, because no one wants to be the leader, so people kind of just push him into that position. He doesn't even want to be the leader.
He said that, I know, the way he said like at tribal, he was like, I'm not the leader. That's not me. It's like, okay, buddy. Okay.
The leader is just who the perception of the leader is. The leader,
Exactly.
Yeah. Very true. Very, very true. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I can think of anyone different, but those are both very good points. Good. Yeah. I guess I could push a little bit for Jake, because I feel like he's had a lot of sway on villains so far, and like, you know, coming in as a finalist, like he's been able to really like establish himself with the majority and all of that, and also push off a potential blindside this week. So I'll give him props there. Our triple Taurus king. So yeah. And I guess next superlative, LVP, least valuable player. Who was it?
And it's not, can it be Paul?
I guess it can, but I would probably.
I don't even know that it would.
Paul, like,
yeah, he tried.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't know that Abby was really like in the episode at all. Like, she was not at tribal. She just kind of like, you know, and Kat like showed up late to the challenge. So one of them maybe, who like did not get a lot of screen time, did not, you know, and I'm going to go with Abby, because yeah, she was not there at tribal, and we didn't see her actively like pushing for anything or making anything happen. So.
All right.
I want to say Hannah, almost because of the idol hunt thing happening, but I don't know if it really does affect her that much going forward. Maybe
that also, like, the idol hunt thing, I wouldn't fault her for that. Like, I would say the idol hunt thing is definitely more on Paul.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think the only thing that hurt Hannah really this episode was her reputation, more so than like herself.
Yeah, it's hard. I guess you could say Gabby. I don't know, because I think Gabby is in a little bit better of a position than she was this week now.
Yeah.
I'll throw out Cassidy, because her position hasn't changed, and she is still Holly's number 2. And when Holly has an idol, if Holly gets targeted and she plays it for herself, then who's the split going on? Cassidy.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I don't think I have a new name to add to that, so I will continue to, I guess, our last one. Yes, Paul. For sure. Yeah, so last superlative, just to wrap it up on like a fun little note. What was like the best line or best moment of the episode? I don't know. Whose character were we able to see? What's going on? I don't know.
Paul's exit. It had to be.
Paul's
He left
exit definitely up there.
And for
Yeah.
no one who understood it, the link is in the comment section, provided by Paul himself.
I'm going to give it to either Austin for just having Drake and Josh on in the background during his confessionals, or the episode title of Dumb Bitch Alert from Gabby, because I thought that was hilarious as well.
Nice. I personally loved Mitch's not sponsored promo for Oreos. And shout out to Paul for clipping that together. I thought it was genius. So fun. Love Mitch character moments. So for me, I think that was my favorite. But there were, I mean, what could I say? When you have a good cast, it's really hard to like pick and choose.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. And on that note, can continue to watch this cast tomorrow at 7:00, episode 4. And yeah, I guess let's, if you guys want to each say something real quick before we hop off.
Thank you guys for having me. This was very fun. Very much enjoying the season and excited to see what comes next. For those who don't know, I'm from Syrvivor, Michigan, so you can go ahead and check out us too. We've got 4 seasons out, coming up on an all-star season as well that you can see later this year at some point. Who knows? But yeah, go check out Syrvivor Michigan.
Nice.
That sounds exciting.
It does.
That will it compare to Maryland All-Stars? I hope so. I'm gonna say yes. I think
Mum's the word. Mum's the word.
We have to watch to find out.
Exactly.
Watch.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Go watch Syrvivor Syracuse tomorrow. Thank you. That's mine. That's my little thing.
Nice. I guess I will just start off by saying, for those who tuned into the charity game on Saturday, thank you very much for doing that. To those who donated, thank you. And just for those, I don't know, those who were just around, thank you. I don't know. It was great. It was a great day. Super fun. But yeah, I will also piggyback on what Mike said and go watch Syrvivor Syracuse tomorrow. Because I think it's a pretty good show. I don't know. It's a pretty good show. And that's it for me anyway. But yeah, thank you for tuning in live. For those of you who are here live, thanks to you guys who are watching this later on. And yeah, I don't know. Go check it out. Thursday tomorrow. Yeah. All right. Bye.